everybody, and welcome back to Flame Forever. And today we are going to talk about the newest thing in Pokemon, Dynamaxing. And the added thing to Dynamaxing is Gigantamaxing. It's somewhat like Mega Evolution, except it only lasts for 3 turns. So you can't sweep someone's entire team when you Dynamax, because you can only do it for 3 turns. But in Mega Evolution, you could Mega Evolve and sweep someone's entire team, and they couldn't do anything about it. So I feel like Gigantamaxing was made to make it more balanced, and these are some of the new Pokemon as in their Gigantamax forms. And I thought I would go over the top 10 Pokemon. Oh my bad. I knocked over a suitcase. And I was going over the top 10 Pokemon that should get Dynamax form, or Gigantamax forms. And I know some people are against Dynamaxing. I don't see why it's that bad. It makes sense to do it because Mega Evolution is kind of unfair, and you can only do it with so many Pokemon. And Dynamaxing you can do with any Pokemon. And Gigantamaxing, you also get a select few that can change their forms and get special moves. So this is replacing Z moves and Mega Evolutions. So let's get started. Number 10. Number 10, I picked Charizard because they are probably going to do Charizard. Since in the trailers, the champion of the region has a Charizard, it wouldn't surprise me if Charizard got a Gigantamax form because everybody loved the Mega Charizards, and it would kind of be disappointing if Charizard would just stay Charizard, even though it's really cool and it's a fan favorite. I think Charizard will get a Dynamax form, or a Gigantamax form, which is why I kept it lower on this list. So we're going to move on to number 9. Number 9, I chose Flygon. I mainly chose Flygon because so many people wanted Flygon to get a Mega Evolution, and it didn't, and then they didn't make any new Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Sun or Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon or Sun, Moon, but they didn't make any new Megas, and Flygon missed out on the Mega Train, where every 48 Pokemon, I think it was, got Mega Evolutions. Flygon was one that did not, that many people were disappointed that it didn't. So I thought that Flygon should get another chance to get a new, cooler form as a Gigantamax Pokemon. And I feel like it would make a lot of people happy since Flygon didn't get a Mega form. It should get a Gigantamax form. So, moving on to number 8. I chose Garchomp, and this is a picture of Mega Garchomp, because I feel like Mega Garchomp was a bit of a flop since it was weaker when it Mega Evolved than it is not Mega Evolved. And I don't really like the design of Mega Garchomp. I feel like they could have done a bit of a better job with it. Or at least made it a little more, instead of making it weaker, make it stronger. And it was because some ability changed on it, which made it not as strong. And I don't know personally, but I just feel like Garchomp needs a second chance for getting a better Mega Evolution. So, I don't know if many other people feel like this, but I feel like Mega Garchomp was a bit of a flop, so they should fix it since it's kind of not quite as good as it could be, I feel like. And yeah, moving on to number 7. And for number 7, I picked Mamoswine. And if you are noticing a pattern or starting to notice a pattern in what region the Pokemon I'm picking are coming from, it's because I did mainly pick from 2 regions that I felt like were kind of skipped with Mega Evolution and other things. Just in general, there weren't too many Megas from there because most Mega Pokemon were either from the 1st generation or the 3rd generation. So I'm trying to pick Pokemon that weren't in those generations. Mainly the 4th and 2nd generation of Pokemon. if you haven't noticed. And I thought Mamoswine would be a really cool Pokemon to see get a Dynamax form, since it is a cool typing, but also kind of annoying typing, being ground and ice. It's not really that weak against fire, but I just thought it would be cool to see Mamoswine get a new Dynamax form. Moving on to number 6, I picked Staraptor. Now, I was gonna pick between Staraptor and Noctowl. I chose Staraptor in the end because I feel like Staraptor is probably one of, if not the coolest normal flying type Pokemon. Since, I don't know, I just always like Staraptor. It's got the cool hairdo, and it was the coolest bird Pokemon that they ever made, really, in my opinion. So I just thought it would be cool since there was Mega Pidgeotto. I get confused. Their names all sound like exactly the same. And then there's also the Gigantamax form of new bird Pokemon, Cronite, so I thought it would just make sense if they would make a Dynamax form of Staraptor. And it would make Staraptor better and easier to use if it is difficult to use. I don't know, I've never really used Staraptor, so... Moving on to number 5. For number 5, I picked Nidoking and Nidoqueen. I like Nidoking, and I also, I like Nidoking more, but Nidoqueen is also pretty cool. I thought it would be really cool if they would have got Mega Evolutions, but they didn't, so I guess now is their chance to get new Gigantamax forms, which would be really awesome to see Nidoking and Nidoqueen get even stronger than they already are. And I'm playing through Pokemon Let's Go right now, and Nidoking is always a Pokemon that I want to get on my team now because it's got a good typing. It's probably one of the best ground types you can get, because once I was playing through Leaf Green and I picked a Geodude to keep with me, not knowing that it wouldn't evolve unless I traded it to get a Golem, so I kind of messed up on that part, so I used a bunch of rare candies on it, and it was a big mess. And I just think it would be really awesome to see Nidoking and Queen get Gigantamax forms. They're two Pokemon that I like, and they're pretty cool, so why not give them the Gigantamax forms? Anyways, moving on to number 4. Number 4, I picked Dragonite. And I can see why they didn't want to make a Mega Dragonite. Dragonite's already really strong, and its Mega Stone would be called Dragonite-ite, or Dragonite-nite, which would just be very confusing and difficult to understand, I guess. I don't know. I saw a comic on it once, and thought it was kind of funny, so... Dragonite, I could see being really powerful when they Dynamax it, but then I don't know if it will necessarily get a Gigantamax form. Dragonite is just a Pokemon that I think would be cool to get a Gigantamax form, but I don't really think it will get a Gigantamax form. I feel like they'll save that for other Pokemon, since Dragonite is already a really powerful and good Pokemon to have. So moving on to number 3. For number 3, I picked 3 legendary Pokemon from Johto that I think should get Gigantamax forms, since there were some legendary Pokemon that got Gigantamax forms. It was Entei, Raikou, and Suicune that I think should get Gigantamax forms, since they kind of skipped out the second generation on Mega Evolutions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they gave Groudon, Rayquaza, and Kyogre all Mega Evolutions, or Primal forms. Except Rayquaza got Mega, they got Primal. whatever. But I think it would be really cool if the 3 legendary dogs got mega forms. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could also do Ho-Oh and Lugia, but it would just be neat to see more legendary Pokemon getting Gigantamax forms. And maybe some Pokemon from the Galar region will be legendary and get Gigantamax forms. We don't know everything about that yet, but we'll move on to number 2. Number 2, I picked Infernape, Empoleon, and Torterra because they all kind of go together since they're all starters. Final evolutions from Sinnoh. And they were supposed to make a Diamond and Pearl remake if they would have kept going with how they were doing it, where they'd keep going, but then they stopped and didn't make a remake of Sinnoh and went back to the first generation, which did disappoint some people, and I thought it would be really cool if they'd make a Gigantamax form for all 3 of these, and make them even stronger and cooler than they already are. So, moving on. Okay, number 1 is another group of 3. I know, I picked way too many groups of 3. It's a group of starters. If you can't guess what group, you have not been paying enough attention to this video. Well, here's what it is. Honestly, all 3 Johto starters. I was talking about how most Pokemon on this list are from Johto and Sinnoh. I just think it would be cooler if these guys got... I always wanted Typhlosion to get a Mega Evolution, and it is the mascot of my channel, so obviously I would want it to be cooler than it already is. And for Alligator and Meganium, just go with that. I like the Johto starters, mostly Typhlosion, but I just think it would be really cool if they would make Gigantamax forms. I wish they made Mega forms of them, but since they are getting rid of Megas now, Gigantamax form is, I guess, the best way to go for these 3 since they did miss out, and either they're going to go back to Sinnoh and make Diamond and Pearl remakes, or they're going to remake Johto and have these 3 be Gigantamax forms for that new game. It would just make sense if they would do that for, I guess, the starters, and they might even do it for the final evolutions of the Galar region starters. And I guess, if you think any other Pokemon deserves a Gigantamax form, put down in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time.